If anyone has not subscribed to our channel yet, subscribe now. Click the bell icon next to it and put it in all. You can watch all the latest videos I post without missing them. Scientists recently discovered an ancient statue in a crater on Easter Island. Actually, that area was once a volcano. Basically, they've already cataloged all the old statues in the area, calling them Moais. They thought they had detailed information about all of that. We all already know that Easter Island is home to the famous stone giants. It has been very popular for many years and many people have been talking about it, but this recently discovered statue tells us some new things and shows us that we need to rewrite what we know so far. Basically, it was the only one seen in that area, but none of the mice we've seen so far have been seen alone. It's very rare for mice to be alone. That's why whenever we hear information about Moais, we hear that a lot of Moais have been found and that information research is being done about a lot of Moais. And another thing is where we found this Moai, it was found at the bottom of a lake. It is also the first Moai to be found at the bottom of a lake. So basically, scientists are trying to restore all the volcanoes in that area. There's a creator there and they're trying to restore it. At that time they found this statue. So maybe that lake was completely dry at one time and in 2018, it dried up again. The gap in between was completely filled with water, so we couldn't see this statue at that time. So for 200 to 300 years, this statue has been in that lake almost 10 feet deep. So none of the humans have been able to reach it. But the point here is that humans cannot build or place it that deep. So scientists believe that when the lake was dry, they brought it there and placed it there. Then the area filled with water. And they believe that this Moai is about 500 years old. Whoever was the Rapa Nui people of that time built it and brought it to this area. The lake was dry at the time, so it was placed here, but it later filled with water. It's only 5 feet tall, so it's basically a bit smaller compared to other mice. It's a full-bodied one and has recognizable features. Currently, scientists are trying to do carbon dating tests on it, that is, they are trying to find out the exact age of this statue, but they are not taking it out of there because all the oldest members of the Rapa Nui community in that area have requested that it not be taken out of there, but that it should be left there, that is, that they have been left there. These statues of mice have been a kind of puzzle for scientists for many centuries. That is, we clearly understand that they were all built with a dedication, but no one understands why they were built. And were they all brought and placed in different locations? They are all very close to the coast of the island. Researchers from Binghamton University in New York have conducted very close studies in this area, and what they observed is that water has a huge connection to those statues. Eastern Island is basically a porous volcanic soil, which means it absorbs rain very easily. Therefore, we don't see many streams or rivers here, and we also see very little fresh water here. But how did the people of this island live hundreds of years ago? They depended heavily on groundwater. They only had drinking water available when it was discharged. But that water was stored deep in rocks or soil, which they called aquifers. And when it reaches a particular point, it flows towards the surface. However, as this underground water approaches the coast, it mixes with salty seawater. But the salt level is a little low. So the water is somewhat safe to drink. Those islanders were the ones who collected this water directly from those spots, meaning they collected it wherever it came from. So that's why they installed the mice in that area. Later research revealed that they installed them in that area to let everyone know that they had an important water source in that area. However, the main bodies of these statues are all made from Maxim Minaki volcanic tuff, which is a local quarry from which all that volcanic rock came. There was once a volcano in that area. This material is basically very easy to carve, but transportation is not so easy. So researchers believe that over 300 unfinished movies were found in that quarry. And they are all in different locations and they are all facing villages. This means that their faces are towards the villages. So all these statues are carved on the front and back, and then the sculptures are detached from their rock, and then their faces are carved, and then they are placed in a vertical position and their work is finished. Once their work is complete, they are placed on a platform and moved. Basically, moving these statues is not that easy because each statue weighs as much as a single-story building, so it is not that easy to carry them. And that too at that time. So some scientists believe that at that time they created a transportation method. They believed that they used some tree thieves to transport them. So it was learned that palm trees were mostly used for this. But later scientists debunked this theory. But the most successful experiment so far is the wielding ropes. That is, they tie ropes to the statue and hold it from 3 sides. If you hold it like that and swing it back and forth, the statues move forward. So this basically works out perfectly, so they might have done it back then too, because it's written in these local Rapa Nui legends that they walked from the Moai's quarry to the area. Walking means they had to go like this, right? But to go like that, they would have needed a good road. In the early 20th century, a researcher named Catherine discovered a road network on the island that was 800 years old. They were a bunch of pathways, each about 15 feet wide, leading from the quarry to different locations. She thought that they might have been built not only to move the statues, but also for ceremonial purposes. But she wasn't a famous scientist at the time, so no one paid attention to her words and ignored her theory. But a few decades later, a famous Norwegian adventurer named Thor Heyerdahl published an article and a theory in which he said that all these roads were built exclusively for transportation and that some of the statues were left in different places along the way. He said that there might be other reasons for them. However, what researchers discovered in 2010 was that all of those statues were placed at their final destinations. However, some have hidden platforms that are placed in certain areas, while others are placed in other places. It's as simple as that. And those roads were also U-shaped, so taking them is not that easy because those roads are basically very, very bad. Even now, if we go and see, there is a road network up to 15 miles long. We can even see them on that island from a satellite. Scientists believe that these Rapa Nui people destroyed Easter Island by making it uninhabitable. But what is known from a recent study, and what was found using remote sensing data and machine learning technologies, is that the island's population did not increase much and did not collapse much either. What actually happened there was that the living conditions there were a bit difficult. So, even though the islanders initially didn't understand how to live in that challenging place, they slowly learned and kept their population very limited, living in that area for a few hundred years. And researchers also discovered a rock garden in the area. And based on this, another theory that scientists are saying is that this could be Easter Island or Rapa Nui. All of these are one of the most remote places to live on Earth, surrounded by the Pacific Ocean. The closest major region to it is central Chile, which is 2,200 miles away. French Polynesia is 2,600 miles to the west, and this island is only 63 square miles in area, and it is mostly made up of volcanic rock. However, when the eruption of this volcano stopped, this Rapa Nui soil completely lost all of its useful nutrients. And when there was lava, those nutrients came to these areas, but when the lava stopped flowing, those nutrients were lost. And compared to tropical islands, it was also very dry, and its deep waters made fishing very difficult because there were no shallow lagoons or reefs to catch fish, so that was also a big problem. So what the islanders did was they created a smart farming method called rock gardening, which they did to survive. What they did was they placed rocks of different sizes on top of the soil and grew crops like sweet potatoes, taro, and all of these in between the rocks. Basically, the rocks protected the plants from harsh winds and salt air, helped regulate the temperature of the soil, and slowly released minerals into the soil. So that food has also become very healthy. So some islanders still use this type of garden. Even though they don't produce a large percentage of food, they do produce some. In places like New Zealand, the Canary Islands, and the southwestern part of the US, some people still grow crops using similar techniques, meaning that they grow them in areas with unfriendly environments. However, as science continues to unravel the mysteries of Israel, it continues to teach us more and more new things, especially how the Earth's crust works. For many years, we have all thought that the Earth's mantle moves like a slow conveyor belt, taking tectonic plates with it. But a recent study by geologists from Cuba, Colombia, and the Netherlands challenges this idea. They used a special method for this called zircon dating, and they did this test to find out the age of this island. Zircons are very tiny crystals. When they form, there is magma coming from lava which forms when it cools. And they also contain traces of uranium, which over time turns into lead. So scientists wanted to know the age of the island through this, that is, they knew the age of the zircons and through that they knew the age of the island. But another thing they knew at the time was that zircons were much older than they thought. They were about 165 million years old, but that island was 2.5 million years old. And scientists wondered how the older zircons were found inside it, how they came out, that they all came out of the mantle, that there must be a tectonic plate. Whatever magma was in that area, it had come out before because of volcanic activity. It came out that way, it got into that area, and all of this was near the mantle. The Easter Island volcanoes were once part of an area called hotspot volcanoes, so there were very large volcanoes there, and at that time very hot plumes were also coming out of the rocks, and they were all inside the earth. So normally these plumes are in a particular spot, the Earth's crust is moving above them. It creates a chain of islands like the Hawaiian Islands, but this is the first time that ancient zircons have been found on a younger island. So from this we understand that what we have known about the Earth's mantle so far is not exactly correct. So there is a chance that we will learn more details as we continue to do deep diving studies. So it turns out that 165 million years ago, a giant volcanic plateau existed in the area where Easter Island is now. But 110 million years ago, it may have sunk beneath Antarctica due to tectonic subduction, and these ancient zircon minerals must have remained on top and not traveled anywhere, i.e., along the planetary conveyor belt. So we understand that when the mantle is near a hot spot, the flumes do not flow. But scientists previously thought it would flow like that. But now it is clear that that is not the case. But even if this is a new idea, it suggests that the information we have learned so far about tectonic plates is wrong, and if we look at it that way we may need to change everything again. So that's it guys, did you see these? These are some new discoveries and some new mysteries from Easter Island. Tell us in the comment section below which of these you found most interesting. So that's it guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.